Hey everybody, Jim here with another video for you. This is Shocktober Volume 16, Witchcraft, Cults, and Secret Societies. But at the end of this video, if you like what you see, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe. Once again, please leave comments below. Let me know what some of your favorite movies are that have to involve witchcraft or cults or secret societies. Now, there's many movies that have dealt with these subject matters before. And again, I'm trying to keep these videos, keep the variety going, so to speak. And I'm trying my best not to repeat titles. So there's going to be some movies that would fit into this category that I've already included. Something along the lines of, say, Race with the Devil, because that does involve a devil cult, for instance. But again, we've got about 10 titles here or so, and I haven't mentioned these on any of the Shocktober videos yet, but they all kind of fit into this category in one way, shape, or another. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to start off with some witch movies, so to speak, and we're going to start off with Suspiria. This is not the Dario Argento classic from the 70s. This is the remake starring Tilda Swinton in a half a dozen roles. And here comes some controversy here. I don't own the original Suspiria. I admire it, but I don't really love it. I'm not a huge Giallo fan. I'm not a huge Dario Argento fan. Like I said, I totally respect the film and the filmmaker. This movie takes the genesis of the original one and expands it. And some would say expands it in horrible ways, because this movie's damn near 3 hours long, or at least it feels that way. They could take an hour out of this movie and it would be great. I mean, absolutely great, because there is some really gnarly stuff going on in this movie, which has to deal with the Coven of Witches. Again, I'm not saying that this is better than the original classic, far from it. They are totally different animals. I just don't happen to own the original. I do own this one. And then we're going to switch over to the Warlock collection. More importantly, the original Warlock, starring the late, great Julian Sands. Rest in peace. He was a great actor. And co-starring Richard E. Grant and Laurie Singer, among others. The other two movies basically suck, okay? But the original Warlock is a lot of fun, and of course a Warlock is a male witch. And it's a really goofy movie. But again, it's a lot of fun, mainly because of the performances of Julian Sands and Richard E. Grant. They're both pretty young in this, and they're both fantastic. So, the second movie on the list is Warlock. Then we're going to go to a modern-day witchcraft type movie with Hereditary. Directed by Ari Aster and starring Toni Collette in an absolutely incredible performance. This is a very slow burn movie. It's got a couple of really creepy moments, including the finale. There's an image of Toni Collette doing something totally unnatural to oneself that is unbelievably creepy. This movie, like I said, it's a slow burn. It's one of those movies, either you love it or you hate it. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. And then we've got The Legacy. This stars Catherine Ross, Sam Elliott, and Roger Daltrey, among others. This is from it says 76 there, or 78 there. I'm pretty sure this movie came out in 79 here in the States. Another slow burn movie. I don't really like this movie too much. It has to do with basically like a curse. Not so much witchcraft, but kind of a curse. I don't really want to go too far into it. Again, this movie's not really worth me talking about for, 10 minutes trying to explain the plot. Okay, now we're going to switch gears. We're going to go to this one really isn't a cult movie per se. But it is kind of disturbing, and it is with a community that is kind of shut off from everybody else. And we're talking about Midsommar, which, again, directed by Ari Aster. This is his follow-up to Hereditary. And Florence Pugh is phenomenal in this movie. She really is. The movie, again, like Hereditary, it's very divisive. And like the Suspiria remake, this movie is about an hour too long. I mean, this thing it's like two and a half hours long. It's got some shocking moments in it. It's a slow burn. I like this movie. I'm not in any hurry to watch it again once you've seen it. The ending is pretty intense. I prefer Hereditary, to be honest. Okay, now we are firmly in the cult territory. We're going to start off with a really underrated gem from the 80s that hardly anybody talks about. And that is The Believers. This one is directed by John Schlesinger. And it has a great cast. Martin Sheen, Helen Shaver, Jimmy Smits, Richard Mazer, and Robert Loggia, who I have always loved. This came out in 1987, I believe. And this deals with, I don't want to say voodoo cult, but kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, that have an interest in Martin Sheen's son. And the beginning of this movie, the opening scene of The Believers, is an all-timer. It's great. Again, this is a very, very under-the-radar film. A lot of people have never even heard of this film. This is my Twilight Time Blu-ray, which is long out of print, but I'm pretty sure this is still streaming somewhere. And then we're going to one part of my double feature. Don't worry, we're going to get to the other movie in a future video. We're talking about Bad Dreams. This one is more or less just a serious ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street. Elm Street Dream Warriors in particular. It even stars Jennifer Rubin, who played the junkie in Dream Warriors. But the deal in this movie is that there's like a religious cult that does a mass suicide. They burn themselves up, and a little girl is the only one to survive, and she goes into like a coma, wakes up in kind of like a psychiatric hospital because, they got to, obviously, she's been through some traumatic event. And the cult leader, played by Richard Lynch, who elevates everything he's in, I love Richard Lynch, is like the Freddy Krueger cult leader who comes back all burnt up in her dreams, and people start dying around her. Again, very, very blatant ripoff of Freddy Krueger, but entertaining nonetheless. Then we've got another one from the 70s, The Sentinel. And again, this one's got a stacked cast. I mean, stacked cast. Look at that cast. Chris Sarandon, Ava Gardner, Jose Ferrer, John Carradine, Burgess Meredith, Beverly D'Angelo, Jeff Goldblum, Tom Berenger, Christopher Walken, and that's not everybody. This has to do kind of with... this movie is very similar to Rosemary's Baby, in a way. Take the baby out of Rosemary's Baby and you'd have The Sentinel. And this has got a couple of really memorable scenes, especially involving Beverly D'Angelo. But The Sentinel, again, it's one of these slow burn type movies. It's solid. And then we're going to John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. Now, you're wondering, why the hell is this included on this one? This one should have been with the Devils and Demons installment. True. However, the people that have been watching over this thing and guarding this thing forever is a secret society deep, deep, deep within the Catholic Church called the Brotherhood of Sleep. And that is a big plot point throughout this movie, is the work that this brotherhood was either concealing or just didn't know about. I think this is one of John Carpenter's most underrated films, if not the most underrated film in his filmography. This movie isn't necessarily scary, although there are some scary moments in it. To me, it's dread-inducing, and I've always loved this movie because of that fact. This one stars Donald Pleasance, Victor Wong, and Lisa Blunt, among others. And his name is escaping me, but he was on Simon & Simon. He was the one with the mustache. Great movie. We're going to end it on this one. And this one is truly, truly the most bizarre movie out of the bunch. And it might be the most bizarre movie on my shelf. And I'm talking about Mandy. This movie is absolutely batshit crazy. I don't even know where to begin with this movie. I almost saved this one for another WTF episode. This one is directed by Panos Cosmatos, who is the son of George P. Cosmatos, who directed Tombstone and Leviathan and Rambo: First Blood 2, among others. Like I said, this one stars Nicolas Cage. And this is, like I said, one of the most bizarre movies I've ever seen. It is literally like watching an acid trip. The visuals in this movie, as far as the color scheme and the way it's shot, are amazing. It really is. The performances are excellent, especially Nicolas Cage, who doesn't even really say anything in this movie. He doesn't talk. If he does, it's very minimal, and it's at the beginning of the movie. The rest of it, it's all screams, grunts, and looks on his face. I got to give a special shout out. Let me find Andrea Riseborough right there. That's Mandy. And Linus Roche, who plays the cult leader. Again, I don't even know how to begin with this movie, other than that it involves a cult and revenge. And this is a movie, again, I don't know if I could recommend it to anybody who's like just a mainstream fan. Because again, this movie is truly, truly bizarre. I don't even know how to begin. What I would say is that if you are curious, you have a very high tolerance for very strange things happening, and you don't mind excessive gore, Mandy will probably be right up your alley. But don't be surprised if within 20, 30 minutes of this movie, you've had enough and you just turn it off because you just don't see the point. Because again, I get both points of view. I love this movie. I do. It's really bizarre, but I gotta admit, I was never bored watching this movie, and I don't think you will be either. Hopefully this video didn't bore you, and if it did, well, it's over now. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Shocktober, and if you did, please, again, give me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe. Most importantly, leave those comments below. I cannot wait to hear from you, and we'll be catching you on another video very soon.